Meeting to order, and the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. So, let's see, the first item of new business is the request of Dr. Roderick Sampson of IORIC Investments to repair a chimney and install caps at 302 Washington Street. Dr. Sampson is not here.
He didn't respond to my email, so I'm not sure if he's coming or not.
Okay. Is it the commission's wish to go ahead and consider this?
Yes.
He probably needs to have
At the
it.
end and see if he shows up.
Okay, okay. All right, next item is the request of Diamond Hill Baptist Church to install a parking lot and retaining wall at 814th Street and 1415 Federal Street. If you would state your name and address. And
my name is Jamie White. I'm with White Engineering Design. I'm representing Diamond Hill Baptist Church. The church is experiencing parking issues during services. As you can see, some of the areas there, it gets full very quickly. And they also own the property that's along 14th Street. I think it used to be a couple of houses there that were tore down years ago, been vacant for quite some time. And what we're looking to do is do a parking lot expansion down that lower level along 14th Street. Right now, there's an existing parking lot and there's a retaining wall that is structurally not in the best condition. There's been a lot of tree growth and stuff like that had kind of grown up around it. And it's in need of repair itself. And we believe that that area is a good use to expand the parking lot so we can get members places to park there. We are on, I know it says I think it was Old Federal Street that came up in between. It was vacated some time ago. Our frontage is right along 14th Street for this parking lot. Wall types, we're going to use a standard segmented block, Cornerstone 100 walls. They look a little aesthetic instead of something like a cast in place or something like that. It's concrete or a block. So that is our request, and we'd like to hear any feedback that you may have.
okay, any comments or questions?
I know the parking lot is needed to be expanded, and the area right there can only look better than it looks right now.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Help me understand, if you would, the block. You provided two pictures which were helpful. Were one of those what you had in mind, or are you saying something similar?
But obviously, we're working with the local suppliers on block types. Typically, what we're doing on segmented block walls is a Cornerstone 100, which is similar to that photo right there. It's a geogrid placement back on the back side of that with that a footing.
Forgive me, I'm not
Sure,
as
yeah.
intimate with this probably as you are. So it's a decorative block. It's not like a cinder block.
That's
or
correct.
something like
It's a
that.
decorative
It
finish
blocks
block.
in behind as you stack it up.
That's
I guess.
right.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, not a typical gray CMU. This is more of a natural tans or like a dark tan, kind of blends in with the surrounding grounds and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Other
Has
questions?
that been used before in districts?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Across the street from the church, the city has worked on a wall.
Just did one, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was something that they might have done in 1895 either, the materials that the city used. So I don't know if you have any photos of that, but I would find this acceptable because it's aesthetically pleasing as a retaining wall. So.
The parking lot, is that, did you mention material for that? It
That'll
says
be paved,
So is
asphalt.
that asphalt, okay. Is it currently asphalt or?
Yes,
It is
the rest
okay.
of the
So
parking lot
expanding
is.
it with
Yeah,
asphalt
the
would be an
existing
issue.
parking
The
lot.
one up the hill is, but this is just dirt, right?
Right.
That's right, but the rest of the parking lot that is already there in the historic
Right,
district
that
is
is
asphalt.
correct.
Yeah, this is asphalt.
Yeah, all that is asphalt.
Okay. But this is where the parking lot would go.
Yeah, which is bare dirt. Yeah, that's the, I think the retaining wall seems to be appropriate, given the guidelines, but the guidelines don't approve asphalt typically.
That's true.
Exposed aggregate concrete, pea gravel, something like that. It's just that asphalt is a little different than a historic district typically entails.
I can only, obviously state my position. I know on other instances where this came up, I think we kind of swayed from the guidelines on commercial spaces. I know there was a church, Randolph College, a few others that are in a historic district that have asphalt. A school as well, the college, wanted to do it. And in the end, I think we told them it was fine to use the asphalt. If there was a lot of back and forth initially. Yeah, so all I'm saying, that I know that there are exceptions, and there has been exceptions at times, not saying this should or shouldn't be.
I mean, would you be open to using something besides, big old black asphalt? That, I mean,
I think we would consider some alternate hard surface. I don't think that's something that's, we have to have it that way. I mean, obviously, it matches the existing that is out there, and we're just trying to keep the uniformity over top of it. I mean,
That's my thought about it too, that the guidelines absolutely say what he
Right,
says.
that's right.
But given that it's asphalt this way, then swings up this way, and now you're swinging down this way, in some ways aesthetically, it might be better just to keep with the asphalt,
Uniform.
given everything that's there. So,
Personally, I'm more in that
I
camp.
agree too. Is there a motion?
Are you doing research, Emmett? Are you ready to?
I'm just reading blacktop or asphalt driveways are not traditional to overlay district and are discouraged. Screening. I mean, I'd be much more open to something besides asphalt as a material. Particularly in that this is the first thing you see from the street, from 14th, it's the forecourt. So it's kind of the first face of the property as well.
Would it change your view if it was screened at all? Would that
I think that
help?
would certainly soften,
Yeah.
would help.
I mean, obviously, through any site plan requirements, screening is going to be a requirement for any parking area as well. You're supposed to screen any parking spaces from the road. So there will be landscaping that's along 14th Street. Yeah, make a medium shrubs.
I'm guessing on days other than Sunday, that's a low traffic area too, right?
very
It's
low,
just
yeah.
the track behind it from the school.
Yeah, it's not a lot of traffic that flows through there at all.
Are you planning on resurfacing the existing asphalt, like just like resealing?
Well,
it?
that's not in our scope of this. I mean, obviously, an assessment will happen when we get to construction, and look at cost of resurfacing the existing stuff, but we're not into that position right now.
And
There's a reality for us at the top of the hill. Now, obviously, we are going to have to install that retaining wall. That'll cause us to dig back a little bit. Obviously, if we damage any of the existing, we'll come back and repair that, but we're not looking for a complete resurface on the existing stuff right now.
And I've been over the church a couple of times in recent months, and it's not in bad shape. And it's in fine shape. It's in
Right.
good shape, actually. And the rest of the parking
The only
lot.
thing, just during the construction phase, if some of it gets loosened up or broken up, obviously we need to keep that intact. And anytime you get cracks or something in there, they need to be sealed. You can't let water get in up under that, but it's not a plan for us right now to do a resurfacing.
Does it help image if it's screened?
I think it certainly will soften it, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
I make a motion to approve as submitted.
And I'll second it.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to say no just for
Yeah,
the
that's,
the guideline world.
that's good. All right. So
Thank you
you
very
will
much.
be hearing from Eve.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, the next item is the request of Angie Jones to install a pool and fence at 2807 Riverline.
Hi,
Thank you.
I'm Angie Jones.
Okay. If you would state the nature of your request.
I would like to put a swimming pool in. I think it'd be good for me, keep me in better health. And I think she's got the picture right there. The house behind me also only has about 4 feet to 5 feet from their property line, so I have pretty much all of that land back there. And the fencing I'm looking at doing is gonna be like this guy on Rivermont right here. And similar type shrubs I wanna put up also. I also looked at 2021, they have fencing in the front that looks very similar to the fencing around that house also. So I figured if I matched with someone else that did, it would be just fine.
The same guy that put it up in both addresses.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he owned both
What
of
was the
them.
name of the company? Is it Lynchburg?
I'm not
Fencing?
sure who did it, I just know the owner was the same.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I spoke to a couple fencing companies
You can
today that said they did
site
work on
plan.
Rivermont for the historical district to
The-
make sure we match
the
everything
overhead, that
correct.
aerial.
Yep.
Shades
I
of
don't
light.
see any issues, it looks like an ambitious project, but one that could be rewarding in the end.
I hope so.
And the pool will be open to the HBC members.
Right.
Sure of me.
It is a joke, because I'm gonna be a few minutes later.
So is this considered a rear yard? I mean, I know there's a street that runs,
It's my backyard, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I also
Is
own
it-
the house next
right,
door
so-
to it also. The house on the front of Vermont next door, I
Yeah.
also own that.
okay.
With
'Cause
hopes of buying that big one day, but we'll see about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Just in reading the guidelines about pools, it says limited to rear yards, but it's kind of when there's a street that runs,
Right.
beside the house, it's a little bit of a,
Well, they also have a
Gray
street
area, I
beside
think
that other
so.
house too that has a pool.
right, yeah, okay.
The ones I showed you pictures of, that I was copying. They have a side street also.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you've got
Yay.
your pool. You'll be hearing from Eve. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Okay, next is the request of Shannon Rudelis of Lily Lou Homes to expand a driveway and replace the front door at 618 Campbell. Thank you. If you would state your name and address and
I'm Shannon Rudelis,
Mhm.
and it's 618 Cobble Street.
okay, and
So what we purchased the home. We are actually renovating it and rehabbing it to resell. And we would like to, we also have some paint colors also we would like to have approved. But we would like to add a driveway. We just think that the home needs that. And then we also would like to have the front door approved. So I did submit a picture. Unfortunately, that picture does not work that's the picture. So that will be our back door if it's approved. We'll rehab it for the back door. It does not fit the front door. Apparently the it's an odd height. So we're having a little bit of a hard time with finding a door to match. So we're in the process of that. We do have a picture that I just submitted to Eve just a few minutes ago that it's a new door that we would like to have approved, that style. We did find it in the right dimensions. So that would be something that we could look at. We were also told that we could go to Bailey's and look for some doors, but if that's approved, then we would just go with that.
That was maybe my suggestion.
Yeah. And I just learned about Bailey's today.
They have a wide selection
Yeah.
of doors.
Yeah.
Well, the rule is to restore rather than replace, but that front door is gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was completely gone, yeah.
yeah.
So we are, replacing and repairing everything else, but the door we just could not. Same with the back door as well.
Yeah, I think the picture that was there, Eve, it's a completely different style of house. That's more of a mission house or really a very, very different time period from this house to the one you said you sent a picture of. Those they don't match.
So are we talking about that door?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's definitely not for this house.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different time
I
period.
believe that was sent actually today, just because we're having a hard time with the dimensions of the home.
Yeah.
But we can definitely go to Bailey's and try to look for
Yeah,
a
you
front
need
door.
something more in the vocabulary of the existing house. The door that you're showing for the back would be appropriate, something
Okay.
in that vocabulary. Multi-panel,
Okay,
raised panels.
Yeah.
Something like that is gonna be much more appropriate for this house.
okay,
The size window as well, this compared to the other one is quite a big
Yeah,
difference.
I mean, it's
And the panes as
an
well.
art and crafts
Right.
door, that other one, it's just not right for this
okay,
place. so.
okay. So if we find one at Bailey's, could I just send the picture, or do we need to come back? How would we do that?
You can either table the door item until she finds one that's appropriate, or you can put it in your motion to be between the advocate and the secretary. It's up to the commission.
Okay,
Yeah, I think I'd go that
acceptable to me.
direction. Let's table it, and if you
Yeah.
find something, send it to Eve, and she can work with you and
Me.
Jenna
Yeah.
to get that the door blessed.
okay.
So I have a question about the driveway, because I couldn't see how you could have a driveway without taking down the wall.
So, can you explain that?
Taking down the wall? Okay, so there's already an opening, maybe
Yeah.
we didn't take a picture of it.
Yeah.
You're saying the circular part? There's
Yeah.
already an opening on the other side that's 10 foot wide, correct? That has somewhat of a dirt driveway going
Yeah,
up there?
it's open on that side.
So on both sides, there's an opening.
There's openings on both sides.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we didn't see that.
And it's in very bad shape.
But I don't know if you've been by there, the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been trash in that area where the driveway sits. So the people, I think
Yeah.
the people that renovated the house in the back, or I don't know who, but I shouldn't say that. Somebody had put some trash there, so,
Well, I think it was the people that actually owned the home that we
okay,
bought.
well, either way. But yeah, there's definitely an opening,
An
It's,
opening.
10 foot wide, which is about what we would need for a driveway, yeah. There you go.
Well, that's a side
Yeah, you
street.
can go up it.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So we were thinking about, yes.
Or maybe it's been there a long
Well,
time.
I didn't,
That looks like it may have been.
That looks like different trash, but
Is that a door there that maybe you can use?
So we're looking at doing a circular drive, or if that's not approved, maybe just a straight driveway. And we do have the drawings here of both, potentially. Just because that main driveway, it's in such bad shape. It's like they just poured concrete out and they didn't smooth it out. It just is in such bad shape that,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
I think they took a rake and kind of,
Exactly.
yeah.
And the other question that we have, if it's approved, what type of surface would be approved? Would we be able to do I know there's the concrete, and then what other type of surface would be approved?
Yeah, the concrete, particularly if you do exposed aggregate, where they kind of wash, they pour the concrete and then they kind of wash the top so that the rocks show through, gives you a nice pebble look. Or you can just do the pea gravel.
Pea gravel would be
Get a good
approved?
hard base underneath and put the river rock, the kind of
Okay.
that tan and white pea gravel.
Okay.
That works as well. Both of those are approved.
Okay, that would probably be a little more cost
Or pavers,
effective.
yeah, I think that's the most cost effective.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. We didn't know if that would be approved
Yeah,
or not, so.
yeah, just as you heard, the asphalt world is, you don't want to go there.
And you would leave the trees there? Is that what we're
We would
saying?
leave the trees. We're going to, shape them up a little bit, but we would leave the trees.
Yeah, given either the pea gravel or the exposed aggregate concrete, I'd move to approve the driveway as submitted.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and so you understand about the door that you...
We have to, right. So we'll go to Bailey's this
Okay.
weekend. Then we do have the paint colors as well.
What about the back door? Is that, included in that, or?
Is that the original back door?
That is not not to this house. It came out of another home that was in the historic district that does fit our back door. So we're just going to refinish it and use the back door, and we were going to paint it this color. It's wrought iron.
If we want to, I'd amend my motion to approve the back door as submitted.
Yeah, I'll second that.
In the wrought iron color.
Yeah, with that color is fine, yeah.
Okay.
And then she did have, some color or paint samples. Originally you were gonna match the colors on the house, but now you wanna go with these, is that?
If it's possible, I was looking at the historical colors at Benjamin Moore, and I was talking with Greg there, and he really thought that these colors would be beautiful on the house. Again, this would be the top where the shakers are. This would be the body of the home, then with a white trim around the windows, and the fascia would be white.
Can you go back to the picture of the house, see? Yeah. Open this.
Probably the better one.
So the one that shows the two-story, I guess. So you're saying the clapboard at the bottom would be the
It would be
off-white,
it would be this color.
and then the darker on the shingles?
It would be, yeah, this color. And then all of the trim would be white.
I think that's good.
Is there anything in the front door you wanna paint this wrought iron?
Wrought iron.
Yeah,
And,
there it is.
There you go.
There
Yes.
you go.
oh, yeah. Little torque in it. The matrix moved while you were taking.
So
So-
is that
So-
an amended?
Yeah, well, I guess this is sort of a secondary motion. So
Yeah.
you're saying columns, porch, railings, everything would be white? And then just the door?
The door would be wrought iron, and then the top part would be this, it's the Newburgh green, it's in the historic color at Benjamin Moore. And then the bottom would be this Revere pewter, which is also an historical color.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess if we're amending the amended motion?
Or we could have a new motion about paint and,
Yeah.
so,
We have to make sure it's somewhere to slip in, we're approving the back door, if we are approving the back door, if we
Yeah.
haven't done that yet. Right. Is that an amended part of the first motion was the back door?
back door.
And that's all sort of just,
Yeah.
So that's all good? We're good with that, or do we need a vote on it? Okay. So now we need a motion. I
Yeah.
move to approve the paint colors as submitted.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a big project.
It is a big project. It is a big project, but
Yeah.
we're confident it will be beautiful when it's done, so.
Yeah.
Does the inside need as much as the outside?
Oh, yes. It's a very big project, so,
Good luck.
thank you.
Yeah, it's a really sad little big house over there, but it'll make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love to see him in your store.
Okay.
Before we move on, can we just have a motion to table the front door?
Okay, sorry.
I'd move to table the front door,
And I'll second that.
and I guess that's with a given to bring a submitted door to you as coordinator and Shonda as advocate for interim review.
Okay, and Jerry seconded that. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You
Thank you.
good?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next we have the request of Stephen Malachi of Upkeep Homes LLC to do extensive work at 713 Pearl Street. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
I'll let it slide this time.
So-
to agree with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, my name is Stephen Malacy with Upkeep Homes LLC for 713 Pearl Street. And we're requesting approval for many items, and my apologies for not submitting the request beforehand and having to do it after the fact, but would love to get approval and kind of walk through the motion as needed, I guess.
Okay. So how shall we begin?
Speaking of ambitious projects, we basically just did the same thing. So we purchased the house 11 months ago, completely rehabbed the inside, and the outside, we tried to keep it as true to form as possible. We left all of the original detail work on the front. The original, well, not original, but the asbestos siding that was existing over the Dutch lap board, which was original to the home, which had been replaced at one point in time. That was also kept and painted. And so throughout the process, we knew the windows were old and dated. And the intent all along was to save them. And when we finally got to trying to repair the windows about a month, maybe 5 weeks ago, we were scraping them, and it became evident that there was no way to save them. The windows literally started falling apart as we were scraping them off, scraping the paint off, because there were many years of paint, many years of rot and decay. So we did go ahead. Unfortunately, the circumstances led us to having large holes in the house, which led to, water, and the house was practically finished at this time. So rain was coming in, pests were coming in. So we did go ahead and, without permission, and again, I apologize for the infraction, but did not, we put vinyl windows in, tried to keep them as true to original size as possible. We had them wrapped in aluminum as well to try to, again, keep the originality as close to intact. So just here to try to see what we can do to, hopefully come to an amicable situation for everybody so we can continue to revitalize the community and also, make sure we're following within the guidelines. The door, I just did not realize that, again, same thing with the door. So not that ignorance is passable, but just didn't submit it. So it is a solid wood door. Jerry came over, got the pleasure of meeting with him a couple weeks ago. Got to put we have the new solid wood door on the front. This door is on the rear of the house. At the time, there wasn't even a workable door there. So that is a new door on the back of the house. And then I think the other thing that was questioned was the deck railing, which was also rotted out. So we just replaced it with wood in kind, and it does have the metal balusters.
Eve, the before photo, how old is that before photo?
I think I pulled it off of Google Images. So let's see.
My impression is the house did didn't look as good as that before photo shows it. That's what I was asking.
It was in serious disrepair.
But I don't know.
So that says 2015.
Okay.
Let's see if we can find.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, that's
it?
the latest.
That's it? Before?
That's 2015?
So 8 years ago, and it had not been well taken care of at all.
And speak again to the siding, I missed that part.
We didn't do anything. The paint we did get approved previously, and so I was just mentioning that we left the siding intact.
Incredibly sad that you weren't here earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just trying to revitalize the community. Obviously, it is a business that we do, but,
I mean, windows.
Yeah.
Vinyl windows have been rejected over and over again, even approved by council, rejected. They're vinyl and they're the wrong size. I mean, they're clearly little windows and big holes.
I wouldn't say they're little, but they're not the exact, they're about 6 inches shorter, yes, sir.
Yeah, they're more narrow and shorter.
The windows are actually the same size. So what that was the door, the window framing. So the
Okay.
width is actually the
Yeah.
same.
So, the windows are wrong. The front door, it's the exact statement we just laid, the last lady, that door is a Craftsman door. It's not a door for this house.
Not to be contrary, but
Yeah.
when Jerry was there, I believe it was actually your words that it did feel very authentic. Is that correct, Jerry?
It's of a certain vintage. You said that the other door was absolutely shot, but no, absolutely, he's right. This is a Craftsman door. I would say, given all the other problems, the windows, the porches, the back door, this was the least problematic to me, was this door. So,
It's just,
Because
it's a
someone-
different era. It's years and years and years wrong for this house. And the porch railing is, those little metal pallets, you can see what was on there originally.
Okay.
Guidelines say they need to be replaced in kind.
Okay.
So they need to be wood, decorative, spools.
I don't know how to acquire those, I guess is my challenge. I mean,
they're-
those are hand turned and
You can
I
buy
can't-
those new. I mean, those come,
Okay. I think maybe the best situation is I probably just need to get it denied and appeal and bring counsel with me because I'm obviously not equipped to handle this on my own right now. At least I don't feel that way.
well, I mean, what people are doing is giving, I think, good advice.
Okay.
And I would think from the very beginning, we're giving good advice.
Sure.
That the, as we talked about, the windows were not going to be approved. The porches were not going to be approved. I said, the door, to me, it's not the right style, but this is not a hill I would die on.
Sure.
Personally, even I wouldn't die on that hill. I
Sure.
would say, okay, I'll let that maybe go, even though it is about 40 years, 30 years. Matter of say, teens and 20s is when that would be, not the 1880s. I think that's when the house was built. You can appeal to council, of course, but
And I'm not trying to be contrary. This is all brand new to me and,
did you not get a letter when you bought the house?
I did not see, I'm not saying the letter wasn't sent, I just never saw the letter, because the only mail that I'm getting at this house is from Mr. Reed, who's, I believe, the previous tenant, and again, I told Eve on the phone, I called her and explained to it, I'm not saying she didn't send it, I just don't recall seeing the packet.
but you did say about getting a paint approved, though.
Correct, because what happened was, when I called through, I made errors, and I have no problem admitting that. So what happened was I was following the permits. I asked about painting the exterior, and that's when I talked to Eve. She gave me that. And I'm not trying to be dishonest. I just said I had to make a call on the doors and windows because the house needed to be buttoned back up, and I'm just trying to see what we can do to work through it because I'd love to keep revitalizing downtown, specifically the historic area, and I just. Is there a way we can somehow come to a positive agreement for everybody? Because, I'm looking at another house right now that I'd love to buy just down the street that's even worse shape, and I want to be able to continue to do these, but I also.
So I can't speak for the committee, but I think it's very unlikely that you're going to get these or any vinyl windows on the front of the house approved.
Okay.
Even having installed it. And I understand it's a difficult situation. We had a few months ago, the exact same thing. They put them in, they got flagged, if you will.
Sure.
We didn't approve it. They appealed to city council. That's what he was referring to.
Sure.
And yeah, they supported us because of what we're trying to uphold.
Sure.
And we're not trying to punish you or stop you from, your business growing or succeeding. But with the guidelines we have in the districts that we represent, this just isn't acceptable.
And I guess my questions here is, I see other homes in the area, even just right around on the neighboring streets, that have what appear to be vinyl windows, and I'm just trying to understand. I'm not saying that makes it right, but
you're probably right.
And even with the parking lot, I think they should be able to put asphalt in. So why is it conditional there and not here? And this is what I'm trying to.
Everyone's is reviewed independently.
Sure.
So we don't use precedent. We can look at what we've done historically, but it doesn't set a precedent.
Okay.
You're probably right. One of your neighbors has vinyl windows, and one of them has asphalt shingles, and maybe even vinyl siding down on the next block.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this was done before they were historic districts. Some of it was done and not caught, not flagged. A neighbor or somebody didn't submit it. The house sells and changes hands. We can't make the new owner fix what a previous owner did.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't speak to why some of your neighbors have some of the things that wouldn't pass.
Sure.
But we're charged with the changes that are, occurring now or that we can impact.
Sure.
And again, it's not punitive. We're not trying to rub your nose in or make it cost more, which I know it does, but it's just not acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better. I mean, that's
And I
exactly
appreciate it. And I'm not trying to be contrary. I'm just trying to understand. So, what are my options at this point? That's what I'm ultimately trying to figure out is what, I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find windows that were the size that were available in wood or, I'm just trying to figure out, how do I go about making this so I can be abiding by the guidelines of the commission, but also still be able to have the house finished.
There are windows that you can buy that emulate the original, even if they're new. I saw some pictures of the older windows. Usually have wonderful hardwood that can be restored given the right craftsman to do them. So it may have been possible to restore those as opposed to throw them away.
Yeah. Do you still have them?
I have a handful of them, but again, most of them, the corners were completely rotted out. I tried to take pictures of them just once I was made aware of it, I took pictures of yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, bottom line is, I'm going to make a motion to deny the windows, the front door, and the railing. And I guess the siding, the colors, Eve, you've approved administratively, so those are given, but those three items are just completely adverse to the guidelines at every level. And I'm sorry, for knowledge, you're talking about going the house down the street, setting the precedent, I got away with it on this house, I'll just.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say is I would be happy to, if we can, I'd love to try to work together, as opposed to just iron fist, I can't get this approved, and I want, can I replace just the front two windows, and does it have to be so black and white is what I'm trying to get at, I'd love to be able to continue this, obviously, it's my business will not fail or whatever because of one house or because of flipping properties, because that's not what it's. Yeah. It's extra money for my family and I, and it's also just something that we really like to do. And I mean, again, I would hope, Jerry, that you can say, we really tried to do excellent work and we tried to bring it back to its former glory. And I'm not saying that makes it right, I'm just,
It can't make it right, but the interior is very nicely done. It's going to be a fantastic house for whoever buys it because they have views of a gorgeous church, a church that did come to us ahead of time every time they've tried to change things, including their doors a few months ago and then their parking lot. As I said,
the door is not appropriate, but that's not one that I would, given everything else, I might willing to look the other way on the door, though I know I'm actually violating what we're doing here, because you're going to have to pull out all those windows. You're going to have to redo those porches according to the guidelines. And again, if we can't let it slide, because then the whole point of an historic district, where people do get financial credits for this, tax credits to do this, it all falls apart. And so, so that would be my one compromise, and it's a compromise because I can't prove that you didn't receive it or did receive it. It is, but in any case, there are guidelines that one should follow. And I'm glad a neighbor flagged this. It was not their responsibility to flag it earlier. It would have been lovely if someone had flagged it after the first window, not after the 15th window. But somebody did, and they did the right thing. So that would be it, to find ways to find appropriate windows, to find appropriate ways to restore the front porch, to the ways then to rebuild the back porch. As you pointed out, the back porch was gone, and we were putting it back.
Correct.
It had been taken away. But it has to be according to the guidelines. So.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, the motion is to reject the windows. Is there anything else that, like,
The porches, the balustrade.
So it's his motion, so anyone else can make a different motion, but the current motion, Emmett, do you want to review
Is
that?
to replace the windows with appropriate historic guideline windows, to replace the front door with a door that is appropriate to the era of the house, to replace the porch railings to match in kind.
Just the front porch railings? Because the rear porch railings, it was not in kind. It was
If the rear porch is not visible from the street,
as is the rear door as
we
well.
can proverbially look the other way.
Okay.
And then to bless the administrative approval of the paint colors.
I will have to say, because I was at the property, that the rear porch is not visible from the front street, but from the side street, which is the more major street. It's Pearl and what's the side street?
Grace.
Grace. So I don't want to make
Sure.
that mistake.
My question though is, I replaced it with, it was a pressure treated lumber deck previously that was just also rotting. So there was no historic nature to it because that was not.
I hear you. So if an inappropriate one was there that had been removed or fallen off, it doesn't make it correct to replace it with an inappropriate one.
So I guess my question is, so I should have left it in an unsafe manner? And this is coming out sarcastic, but I just don't know what else to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm
not used it or not
You've been
bought
very
it.
easy to work with, and I appreciate it, but I'm just trying to.
So it's visible from Grace. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. It's tough to be friends here because I
just not understanding because that was.
It's not appropriate, and if it's visible, like they're pointing out, there's even it's not on the main road, but it is visible from the side street that is a main road.
So I should have left it.
It's going to stand out.
Yeah, I should have left it.
Well, I mean, zoning would have had you build a new porch, but it would have been appropriate to the historic nature of the home. So I think it's not a question of leave it unsafe or build a wrong porch. It's build a porch appropriately that's also within zoning guidelines.
Understood.
So we're charged to do a certain thing. I feel for you because you can see the other image of the porch. The next door neighbor's house looks terrible. It looks terrible. But if someone started working on it, they would have to follow the guidelines. So I mean, I understand your dilemma and your feelings about this. You're making something look better that look worse. And the house next door looks terrible, but there are sort of these guidelines that once you start working on a historic house, you have to do it appropriately.
If you're gonna do these houses
Well, yeah, I guess
in
that's the
historic
answer is I
districts,
just
you
shouldn't
need
do
to
them.
figure
Yeah.
out what the
Yeah.
historic district is gonna have you do.
Yeah.
Because
It's more than just rehabbing. We're about.
No, and I understand. Yeah,
So,
totally.
Yeah. I mean, my house is in a historic district. I have vinyl, I have, vinyl siding, I have vinyl windows, I have inappropriate roofing materials, and was all done, at a time that our house was not considered historic at the time. So, when we go to make those renovations, we have to follow the exact same guidelines, so.
There's a motion, Madam Chair.
Okay. Was there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Would you repeat it, please?
I'm saying that the windows need to be replaced with historically accurate windows. The front door needs to be replaced with a period accurate door. The railings and porch elements, both front and rear, need to match original historic detailing. All per the guidelines directly.
All right. All right.
So it's 1, 2, and 3,
1, 2, and
correct?
3,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Well, does that include the rear door?
Because the rear door is not, I mean, from the picture at least, I didn't see it, but you can see the depth.
Oh, yeah, so you could amend number 3, just the front. Do
Yeah,
what you like.
I'm going to leave the rear door out. That's proverbially not visible. So I'm going to leave that out.
And I just want to make sure, I'm appreciative of everybody here, and I'm not trying to be controversial. But you also understand where I'm coming from, and I appreciate that as well. So,
I wish
I
there
don't
was
wanna-
something we could,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair with other owners in
Sure.
the historic district, I wish there was something I could do that would help you, but I just don't see that.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's disappointing that you weren't notified, that you somehow missed the early notice. But, I mean, buying in the historic district to start with is, I mean, it is a designated district that's been in place for years and years and years. So.
And we're here to help, not to punish.
That's our intent,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
desire.
Stephen, I know we had talked about you finding alternative windows to put in. Did you have a chance to do that, or?
So the ones that I researched are, I believe, if you give me just 1 second here. They are. They're Orline composite single hung windows by, let me see, Geldwin.
Is it a PVC? What's the composite?
PVC, yes, sir.
That's, I think, fine.
We have approved some
Historically.
PVC,
Okay.
some
So can I get
composite windows.
approval for the Geldwin Orline
Well, I
PVC
mean,
windows?
they have to be appropriate for the size is the biggie
Okay.
as well. There are a number of manufacturers that work to historic sizes.
Okay.
I mean, gosh, Marvin, Pella, I mean, tons and tons, I don't say tons and tons. There are multiple ones that do.
Because I wasn't aware that the PVC was an option at first, and that's why I
It's
wasn't able to.
come around new. It's you're going to find it's not as good a window. I mean, you can get the aluminum clad wood. It doesn't have to be all wood. And the aluminum clad wood, the aluminum is pre-finished, so painting is taken care of and longevity is taken care of. So there are a number of those aluminum clad wood windows that would be appropriate.
Well, so I've already gotten the quote and everything on those, so if I can get approval for the Geldwin Orlines,
We need to see a submittal on those.
Sure.
'Cause
I do, I can
Yeah,
send it right now.
the biggie, Mr. Malachi, I hope I'm saying that right, is the size of the mullions. They can be very, very different and look dramatically different from a historic perspective. So if you could get that to Eve, that submittal to Eve, we could work through that.
Yeah. And I also just wanted to point out, in addition to the size, the original windows were 2/2, and so the new windows need to also be 2/2. The ones that you replaced it with are not.
Yeah,
So, you need to be mindful of that when you're making your purchase.
yeah, good point.
So,
So shall we vote on the motion and then deal with the windows? So all those in favor
Aye.
of the
Aye.
motion? Opposed? All right.
I'm going to abstain because I said I would not push on the door, though it is not appropriate for the era. But I said because of all the extra expense you're going to have to redo all of this. So it's an abstention, though, yeah.
Okay, so,
Did you get that link, Eve?
Yeah, so it takes me here.
So with the 2/2.
Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just
So
wanna make sure.
the single sash on the top and then single sash on the bottom.
No.
2 panes
So
and
it's
two.
two, yeah, 2 panes
Two
and 2
panes,
panes.
exactly.
Yep.
I don't,
Probably tough to find, but they're going to be out there.
They're the single homes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so not that style,
Correct.
but
Yeah, do they have the 2/2 or is it?
maybe a custom.
I think sounds like you need to get a package together on those with a specific quote and the dimensions to make sure, again, that they're fitting into the guidelines. I'm not,
Do they have to be 2/2? Because that's what
Can
was
we
there.
work with me
Yes.
just a little bit?
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But there are a number of other companies who have more options in the composite windows. I guess just not.
so Eve, is this something you could approve administratively?
No.
No, it has to come back.
Yes.
Um,
Understood.
So,
Sorry, we couldn't
if
do
you
more
have,
for you.
But you're welcome to reach out. Any questions about the guidelines or, want suggestions for materials or anything like that?
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What about the other items on that list?
Right.
The rear light and
Rear door, and then the portion.
I think we
of
said the
side.
rear door because it was not visible was,
But I don't think anybody included that in a motion.
No, we did.
So a motion to approve the rear door.
I'll make a motion to approve the rear door as it is.
let's take 4 and 5 in there as well. Portions of siding, would they be replaced in kind with
They
what's
were
adjacent?
replaced in kind already, yes,
Okay,
sir.
Yeah. And then the rear light, I missed that light.
Yeah.
It's there somewhere. We've seen it. There it is. There's a close-up, I think.
It's also in the rear like the door, so it's about as visible as the door.
So is there a motion to approve the light, the door, and the siding?
Had someone started, or do we have a blank table?
We have a
I make a
I
motion.
sort of started it, but go ahead. So
Go ahead, no.
I make a motion to approve the light, the rear door, and the siding. So
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
That's fine. No, it's,
No, I
this has
didn't.
been, yeah.
That's my fault, so, all right, so.
Thank you all very
we're
much.
Good with that.
All right, thank you.
sir. Good luck.
Good, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. So the last one, before we go back to the first one, is the request of the Whirlwind Johnson LLC to replace windows, porch lights, and install handrails at 1422 Pierce Street. And my understanding is there's nobody going to be here, so.
Yeah, so they're not gonna be sending a representative, but as you mentioned, let's see, they are looking to replace, I think it's 2 windows, the missing porch ceiling lights, and install new handrails, guardrails for the porch steps. See if we can zoom in. So it looks like They said there does not appear to be a window into existing window openings. The openings are protected by storm windows with a check rail. Design intent is to have single sash, no muttons, wood pocket windows in the existing openings and replace storm windows. And then a possible replacement, they were unable to access the window at the time of this plan, but it appears to be in very poor condition. The upper sash is too light and the lower sash light is unknown. We assume the size to be about 36 by 62 based on nearby windows. If they can restore it, they will do that, but if it is beyond repair, they're proposing to use a wood window matching the configuration of the existing window with simulated divided lights and adding a storm window for protection. So those are the two windows they're looking to replace. And then,
I'm sorry, which two windows are they? Aren't they all boarded up?
most of the windows they're going to be able to repair. It's just these two. And I'll show you, I think they have pictures on the last page. Both porch ceiling lights are missing, so below is the basis of the design for what they would like to install. And then the guardrail and handrails, at some point in the future, they'd like to use the building for public uses, so they'd like to install the something similar or matching the below handrail. So you can see that there. And then I think, let's see. The majority of the work that is included in this plan was approved administratively. The majority of it's repairs in kind. So that's where one of the porch lights would go. And then they would provide the new guardrail and handrail. And then, let's see. Yep, and they would add handrails on the rear as well. And then here are the windows. So that's the, so I guess they don't have a picture of the one that they couldn't access.
That's a weird,
Yeah.
it's not a normal.
And this would be the wood pocket window, because there's no existing window in there right now, just the storm windows.
And so they were saying those two small windows that we're seeing right there, that they would replace just as two small windows. No buttons, no anythings.
Yes. Let's see.
And then the other big window is where? Did we see a picture of that?
So they don't have a picture of that because they couldn't access it yet, but they're gonna either restore what's there or replace it with in-kind.
Is that on the front? Do we know from an exterior where that is? I mean, if it's gonna be in kind, I guess that's a non-issue.
And this is another house that's on a corner, right? So it has two facades. that-
Yeah, but
streets.
they'll be
it's so
matching design and installing,
Yeah, 6 on 2.
wood
But look
window.
above it. Scroll up a little bit, Eve. Look at that window up top. That's a 6/6.
Yeah.
Somebody's replaced those twos in the bottom, I bet you.
That's
Or,
something.
I don't know, it seems like a mishmash. But these guys are good, so they know they do know historic. So replacing in, I'm just going replacing in kind. Are they going to replace it like the upper left? Or are they going to replace it, the others are these 6/2 things?
So they'll replace it with whatever they uncover.
So it's just the windows are the only thing on this application? You said everything else was administrative?
Oh, the windows, the porch lights, and the handrails. So everything right here.
And what do they call this, East Lake design? Is you said that for the light fixture?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Eastmoreland shade, okay. I use like Eastmoreland shade, I don't know what that means. So,
And then that's the handrail.
the handrails are fine, it's going to be in a public building in effect, and so if they're appropriate handrails, then absolutely we should approve those, so. I guess replacing the windows, whatever they find beneath them, I don't know how long they've been boarded up, do you have any sense of that? It's important.
I'm not sure about that.
As long as I've known that house, it's been boarded up.
For a
so.
while, yeah.
So they intend to do everything right, though. I think there's no question about that. Is there a motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
I'll second
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
it. Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's good. All right, Dr. Sampson has not appeared, and would we like to?
Would you run through the submittal?
Yeah.
Let's see if it's something that's.
So
Chimneys and, yeah, I don't,
he wants to repair the chimney and install chimney caps. He did not have a specific chimney cap in mind, but he did submit some examples from around the neighborhood. He's open to using other types of chimney caps, but the example that he submitted, so you can see the chimney right there that he needs to repair. So this was the example he sent, and we recently approved that, and that's what they had submitted as their chimney cap.
This one seemed maybe the most straightforward of all of them we had
Yeah.
to me.
yeah, and it's something that needs to be done, I think,
Right.
right away.
You know, isn't the guideline said not metal, but we did approve a metal one, and it's metal and it's decorative, so I agree with you, yeah.
Usually metal, when you want the metal, it's as less decorative as possible.
Yeah,
And that one on Madison was a
sit in.
little ornate, if you will. I mean, if you look at that, it looks, his original looks like just a plain concrete cap. There. It's super plain.
But my house
I
on
don't think it-
Rivermont has, this chimney is almost identical to that, and it's a slate cap on top.
So a slate on top of the
chimney,
concrete?
yeah. It's, I don't know if they caulked it, I haven't been up there, but it's just sitting on top.
So it closes off completely, it's
Correct.
non-functional?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's, I don't, that would be a question, are they non-functional? They wouldn't need that open grill work like that copper one you saw. If it's just a cap to keep birds and rain and stuff from going in it, it would seem to be just as simple as that, but in metal.
I
Would-
think his application said that the chimneys are functional and he wants to keep them that
Yeah,
way.
and if they're functional, then, yeah, you need to get
I
that,
think I
the
remember.
breathing.
Yeah, they are. As they're all functional, we would like to put caps on them when the mason has the skylift on the property. Water comes down them, causing problems.
He's a brave man to light a fire in a house that old, wood structure.
And he took the fire escape off, we approved that.
Right?
So is he saying the one that he shows there in copper that was approved on Madison, he'd like to do that here?
Yeah, so I think that was the example from the neighborhood that he pulled that he would consider. And that's what it looks like installed. But I think he wants to put caps on all of his chimneys, not
Yeah.
just the one that he's repairing.
Yeah. I could go with that.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good. Okay, is there any other business? Eve, did you get a response to your email today? Did I?
From some of you, but not all of you.
Okay. Okay.
Did I miss an email?
Earlier today, you were working, so.
That's
doing
okay.
things, so.
Did you?
I replied.
Yeah,
I
I
replied.
replied.
There you go.
Did I?
I don't think you, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at work, so.
Okay, if there's no other business, we're adjourned.